things going all right this summer?
I'm having a very good summer.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 most awkward moments on late night.
I've been to England once for 2 days. I'll tell my story first.
For this list, we're looking at the most horribly embarrassing and difficult to watch incidents on these programs. We will not be including the news or daytime TV. Which of these made you cringe the most? Let us know in the comments below. Number 20. Letterman grills Janet Jackson about the Super Bowl. Late Show with David Letterman.
I don't want to relive any of that.
All right.
I mean,
You don't mind if I ask you some questions about it, though?
Janet Jackson's career was put in major jeopardy on February 1st, 2004. During the Super Bowl halftime show, she was accidentally dressed down by her co-performer Justin Timberlake. Jackson unfairly received the majority of the blame for the incident and was boycotted by many groups. Just under 2 months later, she made a rather awkward appearance on Letterman. Although Jackson clearly doesn't want to answer any questions about the incident, he keeps pushing for answers and making jokes. She increasingly gets more dejected as Letterman keeps going. While he tries to shift blame to Timberlake, Jackson makes it clear many times that she would much rather move on from this uncomfortable interview.
Dave, you're going to make me relive this. I want to put all that behind me.
Well,
I truly
not,
do.
well, not me.
Number 19. When Michael Richards apologized with Jerry Seinfeld. Late Show with David Letterman.
Hello, hi.
How you doing?
I'm not doing too good.
Michael Richards is another celebrity who faced a career-ending controversy. Only this one was his fault. The comedian was filmed making a racist tirade against hecklers at the Hollywood Laugh Factory in 2006. Richards tried salvaging his reputation by appearing on Letterman via video next to his old co-star Jerry Seinfeld, present for moral support. Unfortunately, it only made things much worse. The audience giggles throughout the whole thing through either awkwardness or a pure misunderstanding if his appearance was a bit or not. Ironically, the interview felt like a Seinfeld scene in real life. This failed salvage attempt was later parodied by numerous shows and people, even Richards himself.
Said some pretty nasty things to some Afro-Americans. A lot of trash talk, and
Stop laughing. It's not funny.
Number 18. Bobcat Goldthwait set a chair on fire. The Tonight Show with Jay Leno.
I don't want to be rude, Jay, but that's whatever.
That's what?
Some people just like causing trouble and watching the world burn. Goldthwait just might be one of them, only in this case, he started with a chair. During his appearance on Jay Leno, Goldthwait stood up and randomly set the furniture on fire. Leno professionally runs with the bit. However, the audience clearly doesn't know how to react. The fire setting is met with some uncomfortable laughter and immediate attempts to douse the flames. After Leno awkwardly forces Goldthwait back into the doused chair, the comedian slips on his way off the stage, just to add to the cringe of it all.
You think I'm like a dog? You're gonna rub my nose in it?
Sit in that chair. Sit down in that chair. Now, where's he going now?
The comedian was forced to pay over $3,000 in fines and reimbursements for making everyone feel awkward. Number 17. When Jimmy Fallon and Dakota Johnson knocked on each other's teeth. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon.
I broke this tooth. This one's fake.
Let me feel it.
It's not gonna feel different. It feels like a tooth.
There are a few things we never thought we'd see on late night TV, and people tapping on each other's teeth is certainly one of them. Jimmy Fallon brings up the fact that a gap in Dakota Johnson's teeth had closed. That led to an extended discussion about their respective dental work. This bizarre detour gets stranger when Johnson asks to feel the host's fake tooth before proceeding to tap on it with her nail. Even Fallon looks confused about the whole thing, but he later responds and taps on Johnson's teeth as well. Their chemistry is admittedly great. However, there is a degree of weirdness about the whole thing that makes for a rather uncomfortable watch.
Let me tap on your tooth.
Okay.
Number 16. When David Letterman and Shirley MacLaine clashed. Late Night with David Letterman. For certain celebrities, heading on to late night in the 80s was akin to throwing raw meat into a hungry lion's cage. Dave mellowed out in his later years, but early on he could be quite confrontational. Or as Shirley MacLaine calls him,
Maybe you are an
Partway through this interview, Dave wanted to talk about Shirley's belief in reincarnation, but the actress didn't think there was time to do so.
Just checking if it is real.
It is. Sure, it's real. It's real.
And as Dave kept pushing the topic, MacLaine let Dave know what she thinks of him. What's truly remarkable about this scene is that neither guest nor host attempted to make up or play nice for TV, and the barbs just kept coming until the interview mercifully ran out of time.
Is there anything else that you want to leave us with before it's time to go?
You're the interviewer. You tell me. You wanted me here for 3 years. I'm here.
I think we'll probably wait another 3.
Number 15, when Andy Dick was escorted away by security. Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Andy, please don't. Donald Trump will kill both of us.
Andy Dick has seen his fair share of controversies throughout the years, and he's no stranger to being hauled away by authority figures. Back in 2007, Dick appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live alongside Ivanka Trump and seemingly took a liking to her. He repeatedly strokes her bare leg. Initially, Kimmel and Trump try to downplay his creepy behavior. But after he continues to touch her inappropriately, he's quite literally dragged off stage by security. A ton of music and smiles try to hide how uneasy the whole affair was, but things only feel okay once Dick was completely removed from the stage.
Get him by his feet.
Number 14, when Guy Ritchie had open contempt for David Spade. Jimmy Kimmel Live.
So I think we ate at Planet Hollywood. I think we just, anything desperately, thirstily trying to get attention. Now you go.
Since late night shows depend heavily on talking with guests, it can be incredibly painful when someone is just not in the mood. David Spade learned that the hard way when he was filling in for Jimmy Kimmel and tasked with interviewing famous director Guy Ritchie. We use the word interviewing very lightly here, as there wasn't much of that going on. It begins well enough with some friendly banter, but when Richie shuts down, Spade has to carry the segment solo. With what must have been a really sore back, Spade later emailed Kimmel and asked if this was a prank.
After that interview, you sent me an email, and I think you were serious when you said this. You're like, was that a prank?
Yeah, I thought he tricked me. I thought you put in a guy to be tough on me.
Number 13, when Bill Burr and Sarah Silverman had it out. I Love You, America with Sarah Silverman. This conversation between Burr and Silverman was so cringe and confusing that we're still not sure what happened years later. And neither is the internet.
Because every time we fight, as I'm driving home, I get a text from you that says, you know I love you, right? And I go, yeah, I love you too.
That isn't me.
Either these two are very close and are just taking the piss out of each other, or this was an impromptu therapy session exploring their likes and dislikes for each other.
I do like you, and I always feel like you're frustrated with me.
And honestly, not knowing for sure makes it all the more uncomfortable. To be fair to Sarah though, Burr is usually on the defensive when it comes to interviews, and doesn't exude much in terms of emotion, unless you count sarcasm and paranoia. So, all things considered, it could have gone much worse, right?
It comes from something from your childhood or something, like the ticking time bomb that your dad was, or things like that that were out of your control, and you don't like feeling out of control or people telling you what to do. That's my theory. This is so uncomfortable for you.
It feels like
love
an emotional intervention.
Number 12, when Bill O'Reilly and David Letterman talked politics. Late Show with David Letterman.
Am I right about one thing? You guys over there at Fox and guys like Rush Limbaugh, you guys know it's all just a goof, right? You're just horsing around.
They say you should never talk about religion or politics. The topics are too complex, people are defensively passionate about them, and one wrong word can lead to a fierce argument. It's a piece of advice that David Letterman and Bill O'Reilly should have taken. O'Reilly was one of the most prolific political commentators of the time. During his shows, he was known for sticking hard to his opinions. His determination met Letterman on Late Night. The comic host gets into a hostile argument with his guest. As a result, the segment is imbued with a really dark and uneasy tone. Watching people vehemently argue about politics and war doesn't really make for entertaining late-night TV.
I don't want to hear about the bad world that we live in. It's an evil world that we live in. Let me ask you something, and this is a serious question. Do you want the United States to win in Iraq?
Number 11, when Donald Trump appeared on Colbert, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert.
I also want to apologize to you, because I've said a few things about you over the years that are, in polite company, perhaps are unforgivable.
Since Colbert and Trump are on opposite ends of the political spectrum, putting them in a room together was always going to be a risk. Sometimes oil and water just don't mix, and there's no forcing them to mix. Trump appeared on Colbert in September 2015, shortly before being elected president. There's a jokey and faux-friendly tone to the conversation. However, there's also thinly veiled contempt between the two. There's a rough patch where Colbert's attempt to joke about Trump's immigration policies gets suddenly serious. In the end, it feels like the politician is just making a campaign stop instead of a late-night appearance. Despite Colbert's best attempts to keep things light and fun, the interview comes out as awkward.
I want to hear this one.
Barack Obama, born in the United States.
Number 10. When Kanye West compared himself to Jesus. Jimmy Kimmel Live.
When I compare myself to Steve Jobs or Walt Disney, Howard Hughes, David Stern, Michelangelo, Da Vinci, Jesus, or whatever it is, I'm saying these are my heroes.
To say that Kanye West has said his fair share of controversial things throughout the years would be an understatement. When he appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live back in 2013, he made some truly bizarre comments. During a monologue, West called himself a creative genius and compared his output to the likes of Leonardo da Vinci and Jesus. West also went on several long tangents that often had nothing to do with the questions that were actually being asked. While Kimmel largely kept everything on the rails, the whole conversation still felt off. This wouldn't be the last time that West gave an awkward interview on the show. The musician later discussed his affiliation with Donald Trump and his extremist views.
I mean, you so famously and so powerfully said George Bush doesn't care about black people. It makes me wonder what makes you think that Donald Trump does, or any people at all.
Number 9. When Norman Mailer went after Gore Vidal. The Dick Cavett Show. It's hard to imagine any interview in this day and age starting out with a headbutt backstage, but that's just what happened here. Cavett's infamous interview featured two literary heavyweights, squaring off over their intense dislike of one another.
I would apologize if it hurts your feelings. Of course I would.
No, it hurts my sense of intellectual pollution.
Well, I must say, as an expert, you should know about that.
Mailer was a critic of the feminist movement, and Vidal took his views to task in an essay where he likened Mailer's misogyny to that of serial killer Charles Manson.
Perhaps you'd like 2 more chairs to contain your giant intellect.
Mailer, who had been drinking, was furious with Vidal's article, and subsequently couldn't maintain his composure in person, headbutting and cursing Vidal backstage while openly insulting everyone, including the host and female guest, on stage. Talk about intense.
You act as if you were the only people here.
Aren't we?
They're here. He's here. I'm here. And I'm becoming very, very bored.
Number 8. When Abel Ferrara went off the rails. Late Night with Conan O'Brien. If you've seen Ferrara's 1992 film Bad Lieutenant, you would know that the director is not afraid of controversy, which Conan acknowledged while inviting him on stage at his old show.
I wanted to ask you about the...
Conan.
There you go. All right.
Dennis.
Cool. All right, you just passed our sobriety test here. All right.
I know.
So, not surprisingly, controversy is exactly what ensued. Ferrara was accused of showing up drunk, refusing to go on stage, and at one point, even leaving the NBC studio, requiring staff members to track him down.
I want to talk about Harvey
How's
Keitel.
the baby? Did you say?
I want to talk about Harvey Keitel.
Go ahead. Where is it? I'll kick his ass. Where is it?
And if you thought that sounds like a mess, just watch the interview. Ferrara is barely audible at times, slurring and rambling incoherently, to the point where Conan suggests viewers will need subtitles to understand him. Conan later admitted that in his entire career, Abel Ferrara was by far the absolutely worst guest he's ever interviewed. Number 7. When Jimmy Kimmel mocked Jay Leno to his face. The Jay Leno Show. Remember the late night wars?
And this is for kids at home. If you have silly putty to make yourself a nice big Dudley Do-Right chin, that works too.
Well, Jimmy Kimmel sure had a take, and he didn't take kindly to Jay Leno's actions, ruthlessly mocking and impersonating Jay during Leno's drawn-out Tonight Show dust-up with Conan O'Brien.
I don't think people care about what I have to say.
I agree with that.
What's going on in your life.
Tomorrow night, tomorrow night's bad for me. All right, let's move on.
For some odd reason, Leno's producers then thought it would be a good idea to have Kimmel on Jay's new show. And, well, it plays out exactly as you would expect. Leno clearly hates Kimmel's impression of him, and Jimmy takes every opportunity to insult Jay on his own show.
But I think the best prank I ever pulled was I told a guy that 5 years from now, I'm going to give you my show. And then when the 5 years came, I gave it to him, and then I took it back almost instantly.
Wow.
Watching Leno forcing himself to laugh while Jimmy drops bombs on him is the equivalent of having to smile while being punched in the face. Number 6. When David Letterman hounded Paris Hilton. Late Show with David Letterman. Unfortunately for celebrities, interviews don't always go as discussed beforehand, especially when attempts at comedy are made at their expense. In 2007, Paris Hilton was sentenced to 45 days in jail. This was of course publicized, but the star obviously did not want to talk about it.
How'd you like being in jail?
That's how you start. Not too much.
She appeared on Late Show with David Letterman with the intention of promoting and discussing her new perfume and projects. Letterman, however, had different ideas and began to extensively question her about her time in jail and her friend Nicole Richie's.
Have your friends treated you differently since you've been out of the slammer?
He also had questions about the food there for some reason.
I've moved on with my life, so I don't really want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, but I know.
In fact, he's just unfair at some points, and we kind of wish there was a referee present to stop the fight.
But now you're making me sad that I came because you're
no,
hurting my
please,
feelings.
please don't be sad. Are you really sad? No. Are you feeling better now?
Number 5, when Andy Kaufman fought Jerry Lawler. Late Night with David Letterman.
Was this thing fixed or rigged? Are you guys really friends? Was it a scam?
No, not at all. I couldn't warm up to this guy. We were cremated together.
Many people refer to Kaufman as a comedian, but he labeled himself a, quote, song and dance man, and he gained fame for his unconventional approach to fame and entertainment. One of his many ventures was professional wrestling. During his career, he entered into a staged feud with Jerry Lawler. The two appeared together on Late Night with David Letterman. The tension culminated in the wrestler slapping Kaufman out of his chair. In turn, the comedian screamed obscenities at Lawler. It's a brilliant piece of performance art, but no one knew that at the time. They thought it was real, and for them, the encounter was horrifically tense.
I'm sorry to use those words on television. I apologize to all my fans. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Number 4, when Crispin Glover nearly kicked Letterman in the face. Late Night with David Letterman.
You want to arm wrestle?
No.
I've been taking. No, I've taken part. These aren't mine. I can kick.
Okay. I'm going to go check on the top 10.
On the night of July 28, 1987, Crispin Glover made an unforgettable late night appearance. He donned a wild wig, jittered around erratically, and spoke nervously. Glover seemed to be incredibly uncomfortable just sitting in place. But things really went south after the actor challenged Letterman to an arm wrestle. After Letterman refused, Glover did a wild kick that was aimed in the host's direction. Most speculate that his behavior was simply early publicity for the movie Reuben and Ed, in which Glover acts in a similar manner. However, the actor has never divulged his real motivation, and it remains tantalizingly elusive.
You enjoy that, Paul?
It was an interesting segment.
Yeah. I think that's the first time we've been doing the show that a guest actually tried to kick me.
Number 3, when Jennifer Garner got schooled. Late Night with Conan O'Brien. Conan went to Harvard. And while that doesn't always mean anything, he is clearly a sharp guy.
There's a time when you snuck into the room to see what the...
I sneaked into the room. Snuck isn't a word, Conan. And you went to Harvard and you should know that.
So Jennifer Garner probably shouldn't have called out O'Brien for his ultimately correct language usage before mocking his education at one of the best universities in the world. But she did. Luckily, it was all in good fun, but being the nerd he is, Conan couldn't let the opportunity pass to whip out a dictionary and school Garner, quite literally.
I keep a dictionary down here and I just found it. Just want to look at... Oh, what the hell? Look right here. Snuck, past and past part of sneak.
Jennifer goes from confidently and enthusiastically talking about her latest role to utter silence, with more than a hint of embarrassment, as Professor O'Brien rubs it in. Number 2, when Madonna let loose. Late Show with David Letterman. Just like you never know how a Letterman interview will go, you never know how a Madonna guest appearance will turn out.
I gave him my underpants and he won't stop.
But we know one thing for sure. Everyone at the FCC was having a collective heart attack during this profanity-ridden, innuendo-driven, filthily funny interview. Oh, where to begin, really? Countless F-bombs and anatomy jokes are one thing, but it's Madonna's constant insistence that Dave's obsessed with her sexually, and while never denying this claim, Dave's flirty behavior that really make this one for the ages.
You can't get through a show without talking about me or thinking about me.
Do they like each other? Do they loathe each other? Just what are we watching here? It feels like either a fight or a snog fest is about to break out. and both outcomes are equally worrisome.
I get a big kick out of you, and
Really? In what way?
Well, just, you know,
What part of your body?
I think you're a nice.
Where?
You know, I think you're a decent, nice person. You know.
Uh-huh.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. When Joaquin Phoenix seemed nutty. Late Show with David Letterman. Looking back, we know Phoenix had a whole shtick that turned out to be a wacky piece of performance art for a mockumentary that he and Casey Affleck were making. But in 2009, the world collectively thought that the actor had fully lost his mind.
Is there something wrong?
I can't be the first one to make you feel weird about it.
No, I guess not.
He claimed he was transitioning to a career in hip-hop, yet he could barely string 2 sentences together in real time.
I do more hip-hop music.
Hip-hop music.
That's a joke. What do you have them on?
Was he drunk? High? Sick? Dying? For every time someone asked one of these questions, the outcome was a torrent of opinion pieces and endless speculation that filled the internet for months. Yet the one thing we did not get, for over a year and a half, was answers. Joaquin returned to Late Show in 2010 and apologized for his behavior. But even that interview was a little awkward.
But I apologize. I didn't. I hope I didn't offend you in any way.
No. I was not offended.
Okay.
I'm telling you, it was so much fun. It was
good.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.